All right. For this weekly update, I want to do something a little different. I'm going to start with some clean charts, mostly because a lot of things just haven't changed since my last update. So we're going to look at some bigger picture stuff, some different indicators. We're going to see if we can't dig up a little different information on some of the assets we've been watching. I'm going to start here with a weekly time frame on Bitcoin with just the ATR indicator and my RSI. So we're going to go pretty basic. Not going to do anything fancy. We're just going to see where trend is leading us. Now, the ATR band, we're above it on the weekly, and we haven't had a red cross or even close yet. You can see the 50 and the 13 still spreading out, um, still doing quite well. Had a little bit of a reduction today. That's about it. Still pretty far away from the 200. Um, yeah, I just don't see any bearishness yet. No cause of concern yet for trend on Bitcoin. Now, how would that start, and what we would be looking for if we were to get bearishness? Right, we come down, we fail an attempt at the high, we break a new low. Now, this is the area we have to break to really flip bearish. And if we were looking for a good spot, is see this settled part of the ATR band right about there. We go much past that. That's starting to look bearish. Now, what does that line up with? You can see the 200 moving average could catch up into that range. So this would be a test, right, of your 200 moving average. You may cross your 50 and your 13. You may even get a little dip and a pull like here under, although this happened much quicker. Yeah, drop, pull up and under. So it doesn't really mirror the whole structure here. It doesn't really mirror this. What we're looking more like is you look at the top of this structure, this M pattern looks more like this here, and where we came up, tested it, fell a little bit, and then rose again. But this was just a three wave move. It was a corrective move for five down, and then we started to get five up, and we were able to turn that around. So we'll see if we can get three down from here. This be a great place, I think, to start looking for relonging reaccumulation. I told you guys down here, right here at this 50 EMA, like get some buying in. Um, we're above that buying range now. Right, we're above our EMAs, so the sales are off. Sales were on here. Sales were on here. Sales were on here. Um, Now we're in sales off territory as we're above it. Um, so our three scenarios are: we fail the high, we come down, zoom in a little, not that much, right? So we come in, we form. Let's put our 618 on there because that's our usual, right? So we come in, we hit the 618, which it looks like we're doing, right? We keep finding resistance in here, fail under. That's our lower high. Option B is we come in, right, for a lower high, is come in, take the liquidity off the prior high, destroy leverage, and then drop down. And then you have your next option, right, has to come in a little bit higher. We could go as low as a 113. That's more of an SFP type option. What you're really looking for is under the 1618. So that would be If you can't surpass that, then you still have that cause for structure. So this gives you a few different options, right? So a lower high and then down, right? So now you have pattern, you have bat, right? Not if you surpass the high, but if you come up and take, right? So if you're lower high, you get your bat. If you come back up here and you take the top, now we're looking at sharks. Now we're looking at maximum extension sharks. These can remain bullish. Reason being is because the target's the 886. So we would have a very long target to reach into and then maybe come down or just blow past that shark. Now, this is fairly rare. Uh, and the fear of having a shark this high up with that big of a high is that you only come up 50% of the way, you make another 100 extension down. That could be that could be very worrisome. So let me pull on my trend based fib. So if we took that high to that low, came up to 50%, um, I can't believe it's that low down. Yeah, no, it's not that low down. Mark that as a. Do I have a 2 on here? No, but I will. All right. No, it is. Wow. All right. So that'd be the 100% extension. Yeah, that would bring us back down into this range on a full crash. So that would be my fear of the blow off top. Now we came into our 131, um, yeah, 131,000, and we failed resistance there. We came down, ran a shark. That would be our ABC. That would be horrendous. That would lose us our 200 moving average. It would put us down into this prior range. That's a big volume range. Good time to pick some up, supposedly. But then there's always the fear of, when is Bitcoin finished making its mark? Is there room for another cycle? I mean, that's it's always going to run into that theory. So we have now this is a far out option. Okay, we still have to come up and hit to find resistance up here at the 131. I'm still more interested in getting to 131 at this point. I'm not so interested in falling down here with that. Um, Let me take these out. Uh, so it's a rare scenario, but it's something I'd say I'll have to keep in mind. This is a little more common if we failed just up here, make that big M pattern, and we'll shape that out, right? So those M patterns are everywhere. Come up, make that M, come down, break your neckline. You come up, test your neckline, and then you come back down again. So we have the structure up, then we have almost a mirrored structure down, right? So we form that common universal pattern. Um, what am I doing with that? Here, form that same common universal pattern, right? And you can flip it over and run it the other way too. Um, then it goes back up, right? So most of the time, over time, it continues to climb on most assets that are worth a damn. But sometimes it just falls apart. Right now, it's still very early to call anything too bearish, like I said, on Bitcoin, just because that trend remains upwards. What we're watching for and what we're always looking for is when that trend indication is over. To do that, really, we're more interested in breaking the low without taking the high. So if we get or we come up and then break this low at 74 420, then we start to form stronger bearish structure on a weekly time frame, and that becomes more significant. I'm not as concerned with the daily. I think we're out of here. If we zoom into the daily, you can see we are out of bearish structure. We broke this high on the daily. So really what we're looking at in that regards, we hit our low, came in for a high, held a higher low, and we continued up. So we broke here, which was the top of our prior lower high. We are now in bullish structure on the daily. Daily's also given a EMA cross, and it's given the HSI trigger. Not HSI, sorry, ATR trigger. Too many acronyms. It's given us that ATR trigger. So that's pretty significant. I don't consider the daily as significant as the weekly, but you look back here, we've had a few false starts, especially this one. This one caught me pretty good. We had a big sink, and we had to come back, click it again, and we're looking for a test of that ATR band. So locally on the daily, we were looking to test here about 85,000, right? So we want to see price now that it's given the trigger, the signals. Now we wait for that test of the ATR band, hope it holds up and continues. That'll be our bullish continuation confirmation on this. You can see the same thing happened with bearish. We came back up, tested that ATR band, couldn't close above it, came back down and kept forming, kept testing the band and kept pushing us down to new lows. Well, here we held the band under it for a while before we broke above. Once we broke above the gusto, we're waiting for that retest. We get that retest, get a good long, and that could send us either back up, where we fail, come down in a bearish scenario. Hopefully, though, we break that high here at 95, and then we continue up. Look to break this high, right? And then hopefully, after just messing around in these zones, we can take off into 135, 140 or so, into that range we've been talking about, that range we want to see. Structure like this also gives us possible patterns to play off of. So this is our bullish scenario. We're running the bullish scenario off of the daily because the weekly isn't giving us a whole lot of guidance. So compact your time frames accordingly. My next lower time frame would be the 4 hour. It's the 4 hour for the ATR. It's just it starts to become a mess. I don't particularly look at it on these smaller time frames, daily, weekly, monthly. That's fine. Don't expect the monthly to do much very often. It's a very, very slow time frame to be watching, but the daily and the weekly can be particularly handy. I was curious. Anyway, um, yeah, that's what we're looking for on structure for Bitcoin. So let's we talk about the RSI. So on the daily, right? On the daily, we're getting that negative movement where we're starting to come down off of overbought, particularly here with the thinner line. The thinner line is a more sensitive RSI, uh, kind of a high sensitivity RSI. It's mostly useful in tracking harmonic patterns. I still need to go over that in an education video. But we also have the red dot. Red dot means that we're starting to get that bearish divergence. as we curl under back into the band, exit the band, curl back into the band, test the midline, and I would hope that a test of the midline would result in this higher low. Well, then we can expand back upwards. Um, we have. I'll fix that anchor point in just a minute. I realize it's janky. We do have some. Let's pull a 113. Right. Oh, right there. No, I got to fix this anyway. So that was a wasted effort. Right. Right. This is so hard. All right. Close enough. So we got our 113 right around, what was that, 102,000? If we use that anchor point, it doesn't have to be this one. We can use this anchor point, or actually, this one probably looks even better. Let's pull 113. So we don't have this big lag. We just have a more continuant structure. That's too high. 113, close enough. So yeah, if we come up, take these highs and fall, we could hit that down. We'll see. Is that about? That's our ATR band, right? Is that about 50%? We'll find out. Yeah, right about 50%. So we can hit our 5-0 and then come back up here to take the high. And that would just bring us up to the high. That would give us our ABC pattern. So use that Shark 5-0, A, B, C. And then ABC will give us the next structure to come down and test some of the other structures. So we can use these patterns within the structure to give us plays, and that gives us invalidations. So we'll be keeping an eye on those in the smaller time frames. I'm hoping to get into the upswing, right? Curl price up and scoop up into the next upper range. And I still think we're heading into that 125 to 135, 140,000 even possibly, into that next range before we see the next bigger drop. At least structurally, it remains a possibility. So I still have to remain with that possibility. Now, let's play a little bit in. And I was going to do the SPY and the Qs, but everybody else likes futures. So, and since we're blank charting anyway, let's just play with the futures. They're about the same, honestly, structurally speaking, to one another. Um, there are some subtle differences, but let's go ahead and put these on a weekly, and let's get our ETR back. Here we are. So weekly, yeah, it's still green. Even though we have that band shift down signal, what we don't have on this signal yet is that cross that completes a sign into moving down. Now the down signals, I mean, they're not bad, but they don't always catch you in time. And the market doesn't stay down long. The S&P is a real fighter, right? So we get our crosses here, but the ATR hasn't shifted. We got a little bit of a shift here, but no cross. We had both here, and it dug down into the 200. We had both here, and it dug way down past the 200. Still hadn't hit that 800 yet. Back, 800 didn't even form until way back in 2013. So, yeah, had a double cross here, but that's because we were just shifting out. We hadn't had a chance to expand yet. That was very short lived. We're still in expansion. So we need to shuffle out of expansion if the Bears are going to get that test. And this is our biggest flat line here. Um, Stupid magnet. All right. It's about here. So if the Bears are right and we're coming down and we fail these EMA tests, we could come all the way down into here. Right. I don't know what I'm doing. We can come all the way down into here, possibly even at 800. That would be a very bearish scenario. That's your ultimate market wipeout right there. But I'm not so sure we're ready for that yet. We've talked about the trend tracker, and we're getting another creep up in it, right? Unemployment is probably ready to come up. We have oscillators bearing down. The formula is taking place with interest rates lowering. If the Fed continues to lower interest rates, if the executive branch can convince them to continue to drop those interest rates, it just gives us more and more of our formula for that market drop, that big market correction. Um, and we'll see. Like where are we at now? I think we got about a 50% correction from our top to our bottom as it is, right? We're over 50%. Are we at 618 yet? All right, that's your big common number there. That's not quite, like we're almost there. We have big resistance here too. Look at this candle block area. Um, right, so we have this order block. We have our 618. We have our EMAs coming down in to that area. We can add even more. Um, what else do I like to use? Let me see if I can find my anchored VWAP. There we are. All right. So we have an anchored VWAP that's coming down right into it. So we are at this area of resistance, this zone. I'd say all the way up to 5,739, but really we're touching it now. And I'd like to see it spike into it just a little bit more. Then we could run possibly a short. Now, that short, we want to define targets, and that's harder to do. So let's come into the daily and let's find some targets. So what do we got here? We have our ATR band. So we could do the band as the first level, and then see if we can't start to find support on the ATR. If we can find support on the ATR, that gives us a higher low with a higher high, so we can start to continue that shift in structure. Otherwise, we got zigzags to deal with, and those are no fun. So hopefully, we got a higher low, right? And then we come back up out of the zone. Then we can break bullish on our ATR trend. As of right now, it is still bearish. We're over the band, but we're still bearish. EMAs need to recross, and we need to shift up and out of the zone to pull the band back up. Um, as of right now, I'd be more interested in, like, we found some support here on the 13 today. Market's been a little bit more volatile. If we can bounce up from that 13, break the high, hit that 618, and fall from there, like this right here, gives you a great short trade. This is where I'd be looking to, you can run off that high, you can run down into there. It's not terrible. And then you can leave it open too if we continue to break. Because if you break down into this, right? If you break down into here, we're probably going to new lows at that point. What lows are we looking at? Well, let's go back into our weekly, and we'll define that structure. We'll just recreate it. Most of you guys know already. Right, so you have your, all right, let me fix it right there. So you have your structure, and then you can use that. Take this out. Let's go. $618. So we've hit our first target. That's not the 5. It's 382. Hit our first target. And what we're looking to do now is we're looking for that reset. And this could be it. I'm undecided as of now, but this could be it. We could use that reset to come down and hit our 618 retracement. That gets us down into that area. In fact, I would think we could go as low as finding, as we talked about, this band. Does that give us any other confluence? Yeah, right about the 786. So I'd be majority out here because that completes the pattern. But hitting that 786, hitting that band, if you got any hopefuls left, that could be another run. And if we look at where we're at here, it's a little bit lower, right? So what we're really looking at is just below is a point, just below the A point. So the 618 is that target. This would be a stretch, but could be a gamble. This would be my major target off of any shorts if they continue to break down. I definitely be locking in before we broke this low. After breaking that low, I would expect a new low. Take out the liquidity down here at the bottom, test this 200 moving average on the weekly, and then possibly even into our final target for our bearish crab pattern that we've been watching for a long time now as we curled over on that. Hitting the first target again just gives me pause for resets because even if we come above, if we get bullish all of a sudden, we're looking at a more resistance here, right? We got to pass into that. Um, and very similar to Bitcoin, we have started new structures. So even if we come above, we can come down and complete some shark type patterns. And we could run into the hop from this, which I don't have on this chart, but I do have on others. We've talked about that ad nauseum. And yeah, market could continue to sink. We're at that turning point now where we're sitting at that 50%. We're waiting to make a decision. We're butted up against resistance. If we can break it and turn it into support, then we go bullish. But the odds under here are for another pullback, another test. It's not at launch time just yet. I would want to see it come down again. Hope you all were buying in here. And the last time we posted, again, we posted some more for buys in here. I think there's still good prices. If we swing down below here, could we have gotten it all in on better prices? Yeah, but come into the daily and you can see that we are not in bargain anymore because we're above that ATR. When we dip under the ATR, gives us our bargain prices. It's your load in zone. When I say load in, I don't mean put it all in there at once. It means you're buying chunks. I mean, yeah, you can buy chunks all the time. You want to save your bigger bites, your bigger chunks for these big sales. And yeah, we can go lower again. But if you've got patience and you've got time, these are still good prices. Um, I could go over some of the other areas. Woof, market is turning red. Uh, what else do we talk about a little bit? I don't want to do crypto yet. I don't think it's ready to go just yet. These altcoins. Let's find. I think I'm in our blue channel. Here we go. What were some of our buys? We have American Airlines. Um, go to War Weekly. We had that buy signal, and that was hopeful, but it fell apart. We're still coming down. Still good are on earnings. Just iffy on markets. So we're just waiting for a market shift. And I think the sentiment for American Airlines could shift as well. Um, Lithium of America I think is still bargain priced. Just needs to hit that rounding out, and looks like it's starting to get some of it. Hopefully, we don't get another stab down like we did here. We just kind of round out, break the high, and continue up. Intel's at a time of it. Um, um, all right. Sorry, my recording got cut off. Started back in. Anyway, yeah, Intel's had a time of it. Let me. If we look at it on the week, we lost down into here, and it just fell down to the bottom. It's not rolling up yet. In fact, this is one of the ones I think I'd pull in on a monthly. And on a monthly chart, even it's looking pretty rough. We are down into support. We have very clear invalidation at 1196. That is the area to defend. You do not want to lose this zone. Um, or things could get very ugly for Intel. Hopefully, they pull it together. And these are very critical buys if we're doing anything in here. Very small nibbles. Um, yeah, and you're just hoping for the best on that one. This is what you call high risk, very high risk. So Intel got onto that one. Boeing we talked about before as well. Now I think a lot of Boeing's selling pressure is over compared to where they were. Right, they came down from a high. It was a lot of scrutiny. They filled out this range. You can see almost this triangle forming, but they've held a lot of support. There's been a lot of scandal with Boeing, like a lot of scandal with Boeing, and they have held up pretty well. Um, as that bearish news gets absorbed, then price should continue to recover. And as long as it's holding right tight to this 200 moving average on the monthly, we could run back up above that monthly ATR, flip it green, and it could continue up. You can see it can just continue to ride as it always has up these channels. So I think Boeing's one of those ones. It's definitely worth a look. Um, we talked about the Soxel too, the semiconductor index. It's done very well, but we're flirting with these lows now, and it's getting dangerous and tempting at the same time. If we look into that daily here, right? We're starting to see a little bit of traction, a little bit of hold. A higher low is sort of a higher high. It's not great, I admit, uh, but it's a start. It could be a start to a rounding bottom, and that gives us that if we hold, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, anything too measured. Let's just put a 5 on there and say that if we hold somewhere in here on this higher low, try to avoid filling in that gap. Even if you fill in that gap, just avoid breaking under here. And then you break this high, that could be your ticket out. So I'll hold this high, and we want to break that high, and that gives us stronger bullish structure for continuation, possibly up back into this area of massive uh, support and resistance. And we may not get that high. I don't really care. I'm just here for part of the ride. I want to take it back out up into here. I don't want to try and catch this to new all-time highs. That'd be great, but I just don't see it in the market yet. I need more conviction before we run that way. Oh, Tesla as well. And we had talked about Tesla being in the buy box again. I thought every time I think I have a fresh chart, it's never a fully fresh chart. But man, did we get this one and got it again. So we're still down here on this band into that support, and we hit that buy box. Not here. I've got it up here. Hold on. Let me pull that up. It's another chart, but I think it's worth looking at. Tesla in the buy box under 238. And I'm still accumulating bits and pieces. Now we've broken this high. We have some better structure. We need to get past this trend line here. We need to get over it. If we can't get over it, at least into the middle of that channel, I'm going to be very upset. I want to at least hit up here in the middle of that channel, somewhere around 340 to $360. think I'd be very happy with that. It'd be a very good move. Offload me some Tesla here, and yeah, just be happy with it. Prepare for another dip into the depths, and hopefully another launch out. But we'll have to see how that structures along. Target is another one I've been interested in accumulating down here on this massive VWAP. Right, as we come down into that support, that massive anchor VWAP from here. Yeah, I think Target could make another run for a classic 1-2 all the way up into 205. That's going to require some deals with China, which we may get. We'll just have to wait and see. It could be the Target makes a run at Walmart for being a value leader, and the rest of the market could sink. Target could continue to climb as people go there to avoid higher prices. It's all a possibility, but yeah, we'll have to see. Nvidia took the bait here at 97, or yeah, about $97. Took that bait. It ran back up. We haven't really broken high yet. Hopefully we can break over this. It's going to be this high now, 115. Now we taking the bait. If we can run back over 115, we have other targets up here to start hitting. Holding that trend line for now. I can see another retest though, so I'm not super bullish on that one yet. It's got the trend, it's got the momentum, it's got the value, and then again, it's got the overvalue too. So I could definitely see weekends playing into that. I'm going to wrap this up because it's just going to get super long if I don't. I could talk about all these stocks all day long. Hilica Mining, and it's not fair. I'm not doing them what I told you I would with these. Like, look, we can track. Daily's not going to do it. Yeah, on the weekly though, like I said, it's just not commenced. We close this candle red on the weekly this week. Yeah, that could be it. We could come down into that 200, get another dip down. That's back to Nvidia. Let me talk about HL real quick. HL's a mess. There's just not a lot of guidance right now on it. Hilica Mining. I think under this 800 is still pretty good buy. I think we'll continue to whip up and down in there for a while, just because the price of gold, and I expect silver to continue to climb. If markets remain uncertain, you could still see those go up. And since Silica Mining is highly invested in precious metals, that could also continue to climb unless something actually happens to the mine itself, which is a possibility. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. If I miss something, ask me in chat, and I'll try to go over it. Yeah. Anyway, and enjoy the rest of your week. Throw another video up as soon as I can, and talk to you guys later. Bye.